Okay, the next vital piece you'll be getting for your computer is the RAM, also said as random access memory. It's been stated in the past that the more RAM you have, the faster your computer you have. That's really not true anymore. For a general user, um, for just web browsing stuff, 4 gigabytes is seriously all you need. Like if you get more RAM than 4 gigabytes, you're wasting your money. If you're just web browsing, I mean some photo editing, there's some game, most games even like only the newest games would like need more than that. Like there's not much like the only thing I can't do on 4 gigs of RAM on my computer is edit really long 1080p videos. Everything else I can do. So there's I upped my computer before to 6, and then recently my extra 2 gigabytes died in my computer, so now I'm back to 4. And it was I had problems with my I think Adobe Premiere or whatever had memory leaks, and yeah. But to get on to what we were gonna talk about, the desktop memory is what we're gonna be looking at. You have flash memory, laptop memory, Mac memory, server memory. Just different types, USB flash drives, card readers, blah blah blah. What we're looking at is desktop memory since we are building a desktop. Like I said, and everything else, try not to look at brand. You obviously at the top brands, like most of these are good. You can kind of tell like what RAM is good by just looking at it. If it looks good, like all these look kind of pretty cool, like cool designs, has slick heat sink on them. I mean, they're probably good quality RAM. Like something like this is some basic green stuff. I mean, you don't want that in a higher end computer. A basic office computer is perfect. It's all the RAM you need. You don't need any fancy high speed RAM. Just basic stuff would be fine as long as it has a good rating. You gotta remember about the good rating because a lot of RAM has a. Some companies have RAM that has a tendency to die prematurely or it might be dead on arrival. So make sure you get that in there. Um, the three types of RAM: DDR, DDR2, DDR3 out right now. DDR is really old now, and I don't know if you can even buy it on Newegg anymore. Yes, you can, and even you can buy SD-RAM, which is even older. So I wouldn't worry about DDR and DDR2 RAM, which they do have still on Newegg, has gone up in price since no one really needs it anymore as much, and the demand's down, so they've gone up in price, and then DDR3 has gone down in price a lot. So DDR3 is a lot cheaper, and that's another reason why you would want a newer motherboard and everything instead of one of the really old ones you can hardly get anyway anymore. And so we're just gonna look at DDR3 for instance. This is also gonna make a decision kind of what motherboard you get. Most like this 1600 like should work with almost any. Like you want to make sure it should say on the motherboard page whatever one you decide to choose what RAM is compatible. Um, it doesn't mean it necessarily won't work if this says 1600 and it says compatible with 1333. It's just there's a chance it could work. It doesn't mean it will. Uh, usually the manufacturer's sites on the motherboard give you memory that's compatible, and that list usually isn't always correct. Usually what's listed works, but it doesn't mean what's not listed doesn't work. So uh, typically, I just don't understand why they put those because it skews the consumer and thinking like, well, this RAM's not going to work. I want this RAM, but what happens if it doesn't work? Then I just wasted my money, or I have to pay money to return it. But I mean, as you can see, these have thousands and thousands, well, thousands of reviews of all these different types of RAMs, and I'm pretty sure they work in almost every motherboard, except for very specific, like probably even probably the cheap ones are stupid like that won't support it, or something like that. Speeds, to break another thing, I've looked up enough benchmarks that if you're building the fastest computer you're trying to ever possibly build, Hey, maybe you want the fastest speed, DDR3 2800. It's probably really expensive too. Yeah, 16 gigabytes is $600. A little bit much, in my opinion. Another thing you need to look at is CAS latency. The lower the latency, the faster the RAM. That's mainly if you see timing, that's part of your latency 99924 like here. The first one is your most important, second is kind of important, not as much, and as you get to the right, it's less important of a number. The first one is your most important to look at. The lower that is, the higher the performance, because it's possible if you have a 1333 megahertz as CAS latency of 8, it could be as fast as a DDR3 1600 with a CAS latency of 9. So you have to look at that, or there's even a chance the slower RAM with the 1333 with an 8 could be faster than the 1600. It's very minuscule difference. Like you're talking like a few percentile difference probably. Um, but it's always worth looking into. Like typically, if you're just building just a regular computer, gaming computer, 1600, because it's typically the cheapest here. It's even 1600 right here is, well, that's an 8 gig. Okay, well that's 8 gigs. So 8 gigs versus 8 gig, you're talking 1600 is $3 more, and maybe it probably is worth. I don't know if how much performance it's probably give you enough to justify $3 to get to 1600. But what that also allows you to do is overclock more as well. So if you're going to be doing that, you probably want the faster RAM. 1600 I think is ideal for like any computer. If you're really trying to save money, you get the 1333. It's not going to hurt any, unless of course you are trying to get that high in overclock or something. Then it's not worth skimping on the slower RAM. What else is there on RAM? Not entirely sure. Well, it's channels. Channel memory. There is single channel, dual channel, triple channel, quad channel memory now. Um, uh, dual channel is your most common memory. Single channel, I'm not sure if you can still have it, I guess, but it's not. I mean, you never see it anymore typically. That would be like one stick of RAM alone in your computer, like one 4 gig stick, which is, I mean, it's fine, but for certain applications, it's faster to have two. Um, then you have a second stick of RAM. That would make a dual channel. As long as your motherboard supports it, that's a big deal. Most motherboards only support dual channel, but then you have some of the older Intel motherboards that support triple channel memory, and the X58 platform I think was the only one that supported triple. Not 100% sure. And the X79 I think is the newest Intel chipset is the only one that supports quad channel memory. And what that means, to get the most performance, you want at least 4 sticks of RAM. And typically in those, the cheaper X79s only have 4 DIMM slots, which is the amount of slots that RAM can be put into. But on the higher end, you can have even 8 slots, so you can have up to like 8 4 gigabyte sticks, so or even more than that, so you can have over 32 gigs of RAM. The only reason you would ever need that much RAM is like uh, super like video encoding, like media processing. There's no reason. Like the average consumer, 8 gigs is overkill for the average consumer considerably. But if you're gonna play games, I mean, you might as well spend like $5 more, double your RAM or something like that, and it'll be more future proof that way. So in case like programs start using more memory, or you want to run more stuff at once, or you decide, oh, I want to try video editing, you'll have enough RAM to do so. Um, like I said, with the quad channel, you can like go here. My next computer is probably going to be quad channel memory whenever that happens sometime down the road. And so I will probably get 16 times 4. Like myself, since I've used over 8 gigs like once before, so I was like, why not just get the 16? It's like, might as well just get it and it'll be done. Like, Otherwise, 8 gigs is hard to use. Like I was running a lot of programs all at once, and like Photoshop is using like 3 gigs, and I was using like something else at the same time. Um, so it used a lot of RAM, and it can help. Like that. See, the latency is 9. You go to best rating, which is at. Sometimes best rating is not always the best. I mean, good rated, so you know you're probably going to get good quality RAM, but it's not always the best speed and everything else. Like this one is, well, 1333, but only 777 timing. It's kind of have to look at it. Like this quad channel kit has an XMP extreme pro multi profile. No, I forgot what that means. So like it's a stream profile. It's a profile, memory profile that only certain motherboards can access, and enhances performance. Pretty much enhances the performance. So this is a 2133 megahertz RAM at the same 9 latency, which so that's considerably faster than a 1600. Also costs at least about $35 more for that. So I mean, if you want like 1 or 2 at most frames per second, like more in a video game, spend the extra $35. It's really not cost effective at all. But if you just have to have top of the line performance, go for it. I think that's all I have to say on RAM. If you have any questions, like again, just comment below, like this video, subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching, and continue on to the next video.